evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 75 of the 72 review. And it'll probably be a relatively short episode, this one, unless we decide to talk in depth about every single game that's happened. There's only been 13 games this weekend across League One and League Two, thanks to the international break. I'm joined tonight by a regular face. I don't think you've missed an episode, Ian, have you? Since we've started.
I don't think I have.
There we go. So, regular member of the panel. Let everybody know who you are, what you do, and why you do it, mate.
Don't take any notice of the shirt. I'm a 62-year-old Rotherham season ticket holder, but I thought I'd wear the shirt in honour of Donny's performance yesterday. I go to Miller's home games, but when we're away, I'm travelling the country vlogging for my own YouTube channel. I keep forgetting to say it's my own channel, but it's at iBradders or at Old Man Ground Hopping. But I think Dan will put the link in the description anyway.
It's already there.
That's me.
Lovely stuff. And we've got Jonathan below us on every now and then, depends on work and what you're doing outside of kind of content creating and everything. Let everybody know who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
So my name is Jonathan Harries, MK Dons fan for my sins, and I just like talking about MK Dons and getting the word out there and spreading the word really, and I'll try and cover the EFL as well a bit. So really do enjoy doing the content.
Lovely stuff. So, like I say, only a few games to go today, so we will get the banner up straight away. Got League One and League Two on here, and I think a good place to start would be down in London for Ian's team. Charlton 1, Rotherham 1. Decent result. It's a place that you go to and don't really bring anything back very often, isn't it?
We've got an absolutely appalling record at the Valley. So to pick a point up there is a positive result. Also, the improvement continues after beating Huddersfield last week fairly convincingly, even though it were only narrow. But this one, if somebody had said to me before the game started that we're going to get a point there, I'd be very happy. Unfortunately, though, I mean, we did take the league at them. We did start dreaming a little bit of getting our first away win since November 2022. But then on comes Chuck Sanike, a sub, and scores a worldie. So what can you do? I mean, that was their only shot on target.
Yeah.
We were obviously well in the game. Stats wise, probably a little bit in front. It's starting to come together, and I'm a little bit more confident than I were like 2.5 weeks ago when we didn't look like we could score. Hit a barn door with a bazooka. But
you went
coming
3 games without scoring, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, some of the new players are starting to gel. I mean, we're not the finished article yet by a long way, but it's starting to click a little bit. I mean, we've got 2 home games now before we go to Shrewsbury at the end of the month. So if we could pick like 4 points up out of the two home games, which one of them being Birmingham, unfortunately, but if we could pick something up from them and beat Burton, who we've got next Saturday, I'll be a lot more encouraged. But yeah, it's going along pretty well at the moment. I'm quite pleased. And by the way, hello Finlay. I didn't mention him last week, but hello Finlay. Yeah. I've been watching your videos and they're fantastic.
Yeah, it was nice to see him. Saw Finlay for the Bristol Street Motors Trophy game against Huddersfield. Came to watch that. It was great to see him and have a chat. So good evening, Finlay, and evening everybody else who was in the chat as well. Keep your comments coming in. It does drive conversation sometimes as well. So if you've got any questions or if you've got anything about your team that played this week, get it in, get the comment in. I'll read it out when we get to your team and the game that you guys played. Or if there's any questions, we'll try and answer them the best we can as well. Moving on to the second game in League One, Barnsley against Bristol Rovers, and it's been a fantastic start for Barnsley. I think this result took them up to 3rd, if I'm right. We'll have a look at the table in a second. But Davies Keeler-Dunn scoring on his debut for Barnsley, a great signing for them from Mansfield. Was it Mansfield?
Yeah.
Mansfield. Certainly capable at that level, but you'd think Mansfield being in League One now wouldn't have wanted to sell to a rival. So to see him move to Barnsley was a bit of a strange one, especially with the quality that he's got. And he showed it on 11 minutes, didn't he, where Barnsley had already had a number of opportunities to go ahead and then did finally go ahead with Keeler done on the 11th minute. But then Bristol Rovers fought back. But that's really all they offered for the full 90 minutes. And then Barnsley rightfully went ahead on the 65th minute and got the 3 points. And you look statistically as well, 16 shots, 8 on target compared to the 8 and 2 for Bristol Rovers, 57% possession at home. I think Barnsley, there's a Barnsley fan at work, and his concern was that they've not got a goal scorer. I think bringing Keeler Dunn in is probably
now.
That. Yeah. So that's what he said that they were missing as a team. From what I saw on social media, Matty Craig had an absolute fantastic game, and me and Jonathan have spoke about him countless times. He's made that step up already by the sounds of it. So looking good for Barnsley. There's normally a Barnsley fan knocking around in the chat and giving us some slaver because Barnsley are doing well and all the other local teams generally weren't doing well, and he's not here tonight. So there we go. Lizzie's asked a question. Ian, how scared should Jonathan be for the 21st of September? We've got MK
I would
Bonds.
say, by the way, I'd like to thank her for her company yesterday.
I think she'll be thanking you, Ian. She'll have loved it.
And I would say Jonathan should be very, very worried about the 21st of September.
I am.
Because from what I saw yesterday, I mean, they really, we'll get on to that when we come to League Two, but Rovers really impressed me. They really played well, and they play good football as well. They play on the deck, and whenever you've got a EFL legend at centre forward, doing what he does best. I mean, that was the most Billy Sharp goal you could ever wish to me. Thank you for reminding me.
I don't believe you were vaping in the ground, Ian. I've never seen you vape in my life. Oh, never mind.
You're not a very convincing liar, Dan.
We've got the Talking Gas podcast in the chat as well. He said evening to us all. And on this game, frustrating game yesterday, but a deserved win for Barnsley. So, yeah, I think the stats on that one pretty much deliver what we're expecting with the scoreline as well. Sometimes the scoreline outweighs the stats, and it's a bit of a smash and grab. This one looks like it was a well-deserved 3 points for Barnsley, moving them up to third in the table. And the final League One game, Jonathan, if you want to take Wrexham 3, Shrewsbury 0, we all love leads in the chat. Is it too early to assume Wrexham are likely to go up? So top scorers in the league at the minute, second best defence. They've started superbly. They've settled to League One life pretty quickly, haven't they? But it's a question of if they can continue that for the rest of the season. I think them and Stockport, great starts for both of them. It's just question marks over whether they can continue that and maintain it throughout the season. But a great 3 points, 3-0. Thoughts on Wrexham?
Well, I've got to say fair play to Wrexham and Stockport, because they've just kept their strong sides from League Two last season. I know Stockport spent a bit of money and got a few extra players in. I think Wrexham have pretty much kept their squad from last season, but it was a League One squad in League Two anyway. And we see names like Ollie Palmer, Elliot Lee, Jack Marriott scoring a typical Jack Marriott goal, just hanging about, waiting for a mistake and pouncing on it. I really do fear for Shrewsbury. I can't see, unless they beat the sides around them, if they're going to stay up. Sort of like, I'm probably saying like your Cambridges, your Northampton sort of teams. The Shrewsbury fans some of them seem to resign to relegation already, which is quite worrying. So very few games in. But for Wrexham, it can't go any better than it is this season. Points on the board, clean sheets, good performances. Got a real good goalkeeper in Arthur Okonkwo as well. So if they can keep the main stars fit, maybe add a bit in January, then I could potentially see them probably in the playoffs. I still think there's a few sides that are stronger, but they're certainly going to be up there from the end of the season.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. It's we all love Leeds have said, I know no one's ever promoted in September. Guess what they're really asking is, when do you think it's fair to take a team's promotions credentials seriously? And for me, I don't know if you guys agree, I'd probably say in and around Christmas. That's a really tough period where there's a lot of games played. And I think if you're still up there in the mix around Christmas time going into the new year, I think at that point you've got to look at teams at the top or the bottom and be thinking they're going for it. They're going to be up there come May, or probably like in Shrewsbury's case, I'm agreeing with you here, Jonathan, that it's not looking like it's going to be a positive season for those. So if they're still kind of flirting in and around that bottom four around the new year, you'd start to worry about them a little bit. Like you'd start to kind of think about teams' promotion credentials if they're still up and in and around it come the new year. I don't know if you guys agree with that, Ian.
I think the advantage Wrexham have got, if they are up and around the top six around Christmas time, is that they've got the financial wherewithal to add to the squad again. And also, with the ownership and the sort of like media circus that surrounds them, they're going to be an attractive proposition for any player to move. Also, they can pay the wages. So, the wages they're asking, they're probably, I don't know what the financial situation is there, but I think they'll probably be able to afford championship wages and decent lengths of contracts. So they're going to be an attractive proposition.
Yeah, and the ground always looks pretty full as well, doesn't it? When you see the highlights, they've built that new temporary stand.
Now that they've got the stand behind the goal, it looks a lot better.
Yeah, and there don't seem to be an empty seat either, so that's going to help them with the finances to bring players in and pay wages as well, isn't it? But they're looking strong early on. Obviously, pace setters for the league so far. We will have a quick look at the table. I don't know if you're picking up, there's kids outside playing, but it sounds like one of them's getting murdered at the minute. But it's just a standard evening around our place. It is kids playing if you can hear screaming. But let's have a look at the table. Obviously, we only really start to take notice of this really 10 games in. But as we say, Shrewsbury 5 games in, 1 win, 4 defeats, 9 goals conceded. It's not looking good. And like you say, Jonathan, it's about kind of beating the teams in and around them. But the surprise for me at the minute down there is Blackpool.
Me as well.
Yeah, to win a game. I thought they'd be up there. And Leyton Orient as well.
Under Steve Bruce, because obviously they've appointed Steve Bruce. I know it's a bit of a wild card appointment, and he's obviously managed at higher levels, but I expect Blackpool to rocket up that table. They've got too good a squad to be down there. I think Blackpool fans said to me 4 of the next 5 are at home as well, and they're really strong at home. So they've got that as well. So I can't see them down there for too long. And the same for Wigan as well. I really rate Sean Maloney and what he's done at Wigan with what's happened behind the scenes. So I really hope they climb the table as well.
Yeah. Bolton as well. Probably didn't expect them to be so low this early on, but there's plenty of football to be played. Ian, it's looking a little bit better for you guys after the win and the draw. You're saying that it's starting to get there. It's starting to click.
We're starting to get there. Yeah, like I mean, we've got 2 home games. We've got Burton Albion next Saturday at home. Then we've got Birmingham City at home, which will be a bit of a war. And then we finish the month with a trip to Shrewsbury. So we could be climbing the table a little bit more, hopefully.
You'd be expecting 6 points out of those 9 then, really, wouldn't you?
7 would be better, but
moving towards the top of the table, obviously, don't take too much notice over it, but it is a great start for Wrexham. 13 points, yet to taste defeat. Like I said, top scorers in the league, second best defence behind Stockport. Can't grumble too much with that start in your first 5 games, along with Barnsley as well. Pulled up to 3rd on 10 points. We've got John, who's a Wrexham fan. He must have come. He said good timing, so he must have come in while we're talking about Wrexham's 3-0 win this weekend. Great start for you guys, John. Question 2: Do you think that you can maintain it throughout the season? Let us know in the chat. And that's League One done and dusted. We all of Leeds have said very surprised to see Leyton Orient as pointless. Even more surprised to see Blackpool take a punt on Bruce.
It's a hell of a risk.
And you need to change your name as well, because I hate saying we all love Leeds. It just don't feel right.
I think you change your name, yeah.
I'm not reading another comment out from you. Moving on to League Two. I think we'll start with Jonathan. Jonathan, you took in hospitality at MK Dons. How did you find it first and foremost before the game?
Well, it was for a friend's 50th birthday party. It was his wife had organised it, so it was just like a surprise thing, and it was really good. Had a lovely 3-course meal. Got to watch a bit of the Soccer Saturday. We got a bit of pre-match interviews with a couple of the injured players as well, and Sam Sherrin and Tom Carroll, really nice guys. And then watched the first half. Went back in for the second at half time, had a cup of tea and some creme brulee, and then came out for the second half and sat near Nigel Clough and Carl Robinson. Nigel, as I said to you pre-recording, Nigel Clough looked absolutely buzzing to be sat next to Carl Robinson, talking to him all game. But it was a real good. Got to see the man of the match as well, which was 18-year-old Callum Tripp, only his second full appearance in the league as well, and got to mingle with some of the players after and got a few photos with Callum Hendry, Joe Tomlinson, Ellis Harrison, and they're all good bunch of lads. I'm sure Dan will agree. At League Two level, the players are so accessible. You can just go up to them and ask them for photos and talk to them, and it's nothing like the higher up the leagues you go. It may be a bit less like that, but it's a brilliant set of lads we've got at the club so far. As for the game, it was back to what we know after bottling it on Sky again on Monday night against Salford, like we always do. We came out the traps really well, didn't give Walsall any time on the ball, played some really good stuff, really good deserved goal, which has got a lot of motion on social media after Mr. Roy Keane's comments about our football after Monday. So thank you for that, Roy. I'm sure that we don't need another team talk like that. Really good goal. Callum Hendry, 2 goals in 2 home games. He's starting to settle in. I think we've seen the best of Liam Kelly as well in his preferred position. But I need to mention Connor Lemonade Evans. What a player. I really didn't think he was...
Is he the guy from Stockport?
He is, and I really wasn't expecting him to be as good as he is, but he's so tenacious in the tackle, and the balance he's got with Kelly, where he can just sit in and just disrupt the play and then just simply pass it off to Kelly or Gilby or Tommy Lee just to do the damage. And he had to fill in at right wing back as well, because we got an injury to Aaron the Main, who collided with the post in the first half. I think he clattered his knee and couldn't carry on. And even at right wing back, he was just simply superb. And he was the first signing of the 15 in the summer. So fair play to him. And I think we're pretty much in the same boat as Rotherham, where we've got a whole bunch of new players that are settling in, and it's going to take time to gel. And I think we are getting there, a bit like Ian. So it's encouraging to see. As for Walsall, I was very, very underwhelmed by them for such a good start to the season. They only had 1 real shot on target just after we scored, which the goalkeeper saved well. And they only really looked good when Albert Adoma came on. And I tell you what, he may be 30 odd, but my God, he's got some ability on him. He's just absolutely brilliant. So yeah, it was a good win after Salford, but we've got to carry this on. We've got to have the consistency. Our 3 games in September are AFC Wimbledon next Saturday away. Then we've got the small matter of Then we've got the small matter of the league leaders coming to Stadium MK. I'm sure Lizzie's going to tell me they're going to win 2 or 3-0, so I'm ready for it. And then we're away to Bromley at the end of the month, so I'm looking forward to
interesting month for that.
Yeah,
Bromley have started well as well, haven't they?
Yeah.
But We all love Leeds. His name's Tom. I'll continue calling you We All Love Leeds. I'm not too fussed by it. He said they watched Salford Monday, defended for the lives at point, but did well. So yeah, decent performance from Salford. But like you say, Jonathan, it was great to kind of bounce back from that, get the win at home. And there's 3 games coming up this month where you'd like to get a few more points on the board for sure. John's come in as well, asked him about Wrexham, if he thinks that they've got enough in the tank or enough in the squad to maintain the great start. He said yes, plenty of squad depth. Scar and Brunt haven't even played. Rathbone just got his first start yesterday. They have one heck of a changing room. Mullin's been hurt, just getting 20-25 minutes the last couple of games. Signing Okonkwo and Dobson have been massive. So John's confident that they're going to maintain the fantastic start, and Wrexham most points of all the 72 so far.
Can I ask John how Ollie Rathbone played? Were you impressed with him?
You can. You've asked it. We'll see if we get a reply from that. Moving on, we will go to Doncaster next. Lizzie's coming with a comment on this one. She said, in all seriousness, regarding our game, we were solid again yesterday. Gills had absolutely naff all going forward. We haven't got out of first gear yet, and I genuinely fear no one in this league. I think I agree with what Lizzie's saying there. I think there's been games where I look back at Morecambe where it was 1-0. It wasn't the greatest spectacle. This game as well, I thought we had a number of opportunities and we've managed to win 1-0. We looked defensively solid, but never really looked pushed or forced or anything like that. So I do think we have got more gears to go through. And when it really does click, I do think we're going to hand out an absolutely hammering to a team. I don't know which team it'll be, but I do think a team's going to be on the back end of a big scoreline to Donny this season if we continue the way that we're going. Ian, as a Miller, obviously you're not going to be biased with your views on Doncaster Rovers. So you were there yesterday. What were your thoughts on it?
I was incredibly impressed with Doncaster. It's the best I've seen them play. Well, I went to 4 games last season to saw Rovers, and they were functional, but they've got some flair, they've got some ability, they've got Gibson and Molyneux, superb ball players. I mean, Gibson should have had a hat trick in the first 20 minutes, in my opinion. There was that ball that put him through and he couldn't control, and it ran through to the keeper. Hit one just wide. Another one where they were in the area and didn't get a shot on. But in that first half, Doncaster were particularly dominant. I mean, I expected Billy Sharp to bury a header, and he just headed it wide. Just after he scored. Second half, Gills came a little bit more into it, but then Donny never looked in any trouble, really. I mean, Molyneux hit the bar with a cross in the second half, but they rode the game out comfortably, in my opinion, and they were deserved winners. I don't think 3-0 would have flattered Rovers. So, yeah, we're very impressed, and particularly impressed with your young centre-back, Jay McGrath.
Yeah.
What a player he's going to become.
Yeah, I just hope we keep hold of him, mate.
Well. Yeah, exactly. But having said that, if he can get a couple of good seasons out of him, like a promotion season, he's going to be worth a bit of money.
Yeah, and I think we've got a couple of players like that. You've got Owen Bailey, he's been tied down to a long-term contract. You've got Molyneux. I think they're all saleable assets if they have a good season.
Definitely.
Obviously, if they're the ones kind of pushing the team on and getting the results and being the players that make things happen, you don't want to see them move on. But at our level, you can't keep hold of good players. They're always going to go to higher divisions, more money.
It was exactly the same feeling as I felt when we sold Victor Johansson, who one of the best keepers in the Championship, but we had to let him go to further his career. And really, you can't stand in a player's way if they want to move higher up the pyramid. So
yeah, that's it. But
enjoy them while you've got them.
Yeah, exactly that. It was a strange one for me yesterday because I didn't end up vlogging it because I was playing in a charity tournament in the morning, and normally we go through to the final and we've won it 2 years out of 3. we got knocked out in the quarters yesterday, so it meant that I had time to get down to the ground and ended up watching this game. So watched it without blogging, so I was more like fully invested in the game, and I liked what I saw. Like similar to what you're saying, Ian, I thought we were better in the first half. Didn't really have that much to do in the second. And as you said, I don't think 3-0 would have been a harsh scoreline on Gillingham with the chances that we had. So yeah, very very good performance from the whole squad, back to front. To a man, we were fantastic. Hopefully we can take that on to Harrogate on Thursday, where I don't think we beat them in a competitive game of football. So it'll be interesting to see how we fare at Harrogate Thursday night.
You've got to thank Sky TV, haven't you? The Thursday night 8 o'clock kickoff.
Yeah,
it's not all about the fans.
Yeah, which they try, don't they? John's answered your question somewhere. Where did I see it? There. So on Rathbone, I liked him. Think it was a matter of time. Record transfer fee. I expect him to stay in. Unfortunately for Andy Cannon, who's played great. That's what I mean, though. The depth is scary good.
Well, what you'll
Rathbone
get
had a knock on his foot day one of training, so he's been set back a bit. Can't see him on the bench now that he's got in, but Cannon will push him.
Well, exactly. I mean, what you will get from Ollie Rathbone is a shift. He'll cover every blade of grass. He's tenacious. He likes a tackle. He's got a right foot like a hammer. He's a good addition. Good addition to any League One squad. Yeah, without a doubt. And
John's watched your video. Scran looked good. The food at Donny is upper level. Yeah. I had a fish butty, like a fish tea butty with fish, chips, mushy peas, tartar sauce, all in a bread bun. Banging, lovely.
I mean, the stadium catering at Rovers has just gone into the stratosphere to what it were like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah. Anyone considering who sat on the fence about coming to a Rovers game or going into the away end, I'd recommend it just for the food, if nothing else.
Yeah, definitely.
I'd recommend Harrogate for any Doncaster fan that wants to go on Thursday. I'm sure Ian will agree. The pies at Harrogate are just top notch as well.
The pies are incredible, but the thing is, they're expensive. They are expensive, but they're worth every penny.
In Harrogate, it's posh place here. What do you expect?
What I'm saying is, though, I mean, the further down the EFL pyramid you go, the food seems to get better.
Yeah,
if you know what I mean. I mean, there's 3 that I would, apart from Rovers, there's 3 more that I would say is superb, and that is Stockport, Morecambe, and Harrogate.
Wigan do good pies as well.
Pardon?
Wigan do good pies.
I've not been there yet. I've not been to Springfield
as well.
Yeah, but the standards going up all the time. Whereas if you go higher up the pyramid, Championship, Premier League, you're just going to get your generic, expensive rubbish, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ginsters and pucker pies and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
John's in the chat regarding Bradford. So Lee went to watch Bradford against Carlisle, and he did it again for Bradford. He's the unbeaten run at Valley Parade goes on for Lee. Unfortunately, he's at work today, so he's not been able to come on and tell us about his day at Bradford. But Neil, get in the chat. Tell us how you guys played. So you've already said that King Cook is an absolute goal machine. Two goals in this one.
Cheat code, isn't it? Cheat code for League Two, goal scoring wise.
Yeah. Statistically, though, it looks fairly even as a game. Yeah. Similar amounts of shots on goal and on target. Not too bad with possession as well. 55 to Carlisle, 45 to Bradford. But when you've got a goal scorer like Andy Cook in your team, you've always got a chance of winning a game, haven't you?
I mean,
remember what I've just said.
The cross for the winning goal, superb cross, and he weren't going to miss that header. He weren't going to miss that header.
No.
You know?
Neil said that it was a hard-fought win, but a very deserved win, and an absolute howler by Walker for Carlisle goal.
It was a howler. Yeah.
I've not seen many highlights because it wasn't on ITV yesterday, was it?
No, it weren't, because you see,
No.
when the Championship aren't involved, the EFL doesn't exist. Which I think is absolutely horrible of ITV. Well, ITV Sport, really.
Yeah, I'd have thought they'd have put like a short,
put a half-hour highlight show on a half hour.
Yeah.
It wouldn't
Yeah.
hurt them.
Yeah.
No, definitely not. Lizzie's asked a question to Jonathan and Ian. Would you rather have Cook or Sharp? Which one would? So if MK Dons were to buy a player out of Cook or Sharp, which one would you go for? And once Jonathan's answered, same for Rotherham.
I'd say Billy Sharp for our system. I think the way we play and the way we get width and put the ball across the 6-yard box, I think honestly Billy Sharp would get 25 goals easily in this MK Dons side, and that's not even exaggerating, because we all know how good Billy Sharp is in the box. You just have to give him half an inch and he'll bury it. So yeah, for me, Billy Sharp.
One for Sharp. Same question to Ian. Rotherham buy a striker, Cook or Sharpie? Which one are you going with?
Well, what I said yesterday, just after he scored, I said that was the most Billy Sharp goal you'll ever wish to see. A turn and a first-time effort. It's got to be Billy Sharp for me as well, because he reminds me so much of a player that we used to have back in the 2010s, Adam Lafondra.
Yeah.
Absolute deadly from 6 yards, if you like. But, yeah, definitely Billy Sharp scores goals. End of story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although we've got Billy Sharp, I will put a vote forward for Cookie, because I think he is an unreal striker at this level. I think he's showing time and time again every single year.
If you put the ball in the air, Andy Cook will get on the end of it. Yeah. Whereas he's Billy Sharp's a different sort of striker altogether.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him.
It depends on how you set up and what
together in a two.
Yeah.
I'd like to see them play together in a two.
Oh, that'd be deadly. Neil says 75 now for Bradford, 21 of them versus former clubs of his. So
wow.
If I'm reading that right, Cookie scored 75 goals for Bradford, and 21 of them have come against teams that he used to play for.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
Which is some record, and generally, your players do go back to Wharton teams, don't they? Every time I see an ex-player on a team sheet at our ground, I just think, here we go, they're scoring. I thought Josh Andrews had bagged an header yesterday for Gillingham, because it's just one of them things where they're poor for us, and then they're just
like us last week. Well, like us last week when we played Huddersfield, Ben Wiles took a shot from about 35 yards out that just missed the post by a couple of inches. I thought, here we go again. when we played Swansea last season at New York, it was 1-1 going into the last about 10 minutes to go, and Swansea brought Jerry Yates on, and the inevitable happened. He scored the winner.
Yeah. While we're on strikers as well, Dale Pickett, McGoldrick 2 at Swindon last week were great, but his first yesterday was even better. If you give me a second, I will find your first comment, Dale, as well, which was about your game. Just give me a second. Where is it? There we go. Old man McGoldrick at it again. Comfortable win yesterday with no Jatta, Crowley or Jones. As for Accrington, we're atrocious, and I will be looking over my shoulder if this carries on. So, Jonathan, thoughts on Notts County's decent start to the season? I believe they're in second at the minute. Accrington struggling down towards the bottom end of the table. Do you agree with what Dale says about Accrington having to look over the shoulders?
I think so. I think we all predicted in our pre-season predictions that Accrington would be sort of down there or thereabouts. Obviously, Andy Holt is, I think, still trying to sell the club. I'm not sure. He changes his mind from day to day on social media. So they've not really built a squad for League Two. Yes, they've signed a couple of National League gems, but you look at the squad and you see what they've lost. I mean, MK Dons got 2 of their players in Tommy Lee and Joe Pritchard. And I know that they're a club that buy little gems from National League and then sell them on. You just have to look at what Colby Bishop's gone on and done. And but I think this season's a season too far for them. as for Notts County, I think they went for the same sort of rebuild where we did. We can't go conceding 80 plus goals and expect to be promoted. They've sorted out their defence massively, and they've got cheat codes in Crowley, who we tried to sign on deadline day, Jody Jones and Jatta as well. And McGoldrick, he doesn't say much, but he doesn't need to because he just does his talking on the pitch. I mean, every goal McGoldrick scores, it feels like it's a real good goal. There's 2 scored against, was it Swindon? It were absolute bangers, and the one yesterday was brilliant. And yeah, I agree, Neil. I can't believe Jody Jones didn't play. I had him in my fantasy side, and I
had both of them in my fantasy team. Both Jody Jones and Crowley were in my fantasy team. I've had an absolute nightmare this weekend. Not as bad as Neil though, because he had him as captain and vice captain.
Oh God!
I feel your pain, Neil. I really do, because I had Jody Jones as my captain, but I can't remember who I had as my vice. Not Crowley though, I don't think it was. But no, great result for Notts County. Accrington looking over the shoulder. Lizzie thinks the bottom 2 will be as it stands now. Accrington and Morecambe both looked awful at the Eco Power.
I mean, you've got to feel sorry for Morecambe. They've got 0 points. They've lost 1-0 5 times.
Yeah. Let's talk about Morecambe. I mean, 13 shots, 3 on target compared to Crewe 6 and 2. They're in games, aren't they? I mean,
they are in games. Yeah,
they looked half in the game against us, but I don't know if that's just because we weren't on it. But yeah, like you say, five games played, five 1-0 defeats. What are they missing? What is not happening for Morecambe?
They're obviously missing a goal scorer, aren't they? They're obviously missing a goal scorer. Yeah. Because it looks like they're creating opportunities, but there's nobody to put them away. Yeah. It could turn around, because I think the encouraging thing from Morecambe's point of view, although they are losing games, they're not getting hammered. They're not getting hammered at all. And you never know. I mean, once the first 3-pointer comes, it might take them on a little bit of a roll. Crewe, they won that game. I think they're round about mid-table time, but I don't think they're a good side at all. We played them in the Carabao Cup, and they didn't impress me at all, Crewe. So I think probably mid to lower mid-table for Crewe, I would say. Any club's going to miss Cole Stockton. Yeah. Imagine he only used to score from the halfway line, didn't he? When he was in Morecambe.
Yeah. Dale's brought up an interesting point. It's a long way away. There's a lot of football to be played between now and the final game of the season. But the final game of the season is Doncaster Rovers at Notts County. So, yeah, that could be an interesting one. Hopefully, it's a party and both of our teams have secured promotion and we can just enjoy a game of football without any stress.
It might be a title decider. Do
you know what? I'd take that. As long as we're guaranteed promotion, I'm not bothered about the title. Obviously, it's a nice additional thing, and I think it's a cherry on top of the cake. But the top 3, that's the important thing. Getting to the top 3, avoid the playoffs, because that's just an absolute lottery. And I think if Donny failed to make the playoffs this season, it's a failure. And the way that the club are speaking, the way that everybody's speaking around the club, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, because with social media and stuff now, you said that we're winning title and you don't, and you're going to eat humble pie at some point, aren't you? So there's a lot of football to be played. A lot can go wrong. We saw last season we were dead and buried in February and we got to the playoffs. So anything can change in League Two with a decent run or a poor run. But as it stands now, I agree with Dale. That final game could be something special.
Yeah, definitely. But as you said, Dan, I'm the same as you. I keep saying top 3. I've been emotionally scarred by last season's playoffs for one reason or another, and I really do not want to go through that again. It was awful, especially that second leg was just awful to sit through. And please, just top 3, anywhere in the top 3, please.
That's it. Where would we like to go next, gents? We've not touched.
Personally, Chesterfield.
Yeah.
Take it away, mate. It's all yours.
When they drew 1-1 with Salford a few weeks ago when I went, Chesterfield impressed me a lot. They're similar to Rovers. They play some good football. They play it on the floor. They play through the thirds, and they look dangerous every time they go forward. But it looks like they had a bit of a slice of luck in this one against Grimsby. I mean, if you look at the stats, Grimsby more shots on target. But that James Berry, hell of a player.
Yeah.
He normally plays on the left hand side, but he can cross, he can shoot. He's a really good player. But the goal of the game were Burnham's for Grimsby for a hell of a strike. Grimsby are doing better than I thought they would do under Artell. Yeah, all right, they're losing games, but they're only losing them narrowly, and they're pulling some half decent results out. I mean, I think the red card was probably a little bit harsh. I saw on the highlights, but they saw the game out. I mean, you've got to give Chesterfield credit, playing 23 minutes plus with 10 men, and they still held out to win. So yeah,
I do think it sometimes becomes more difficult to play when a team goes down to 10 men, though, because they tend to kind of sit in. The Metlison's a little bit more compact, and they don't really look to attack, do they? And
yeah, but it was
the
defensive midfielder that got the red card. So
yeah,
I don't know. So I don't know if they sort of took a striker off and put another defensive midfielder on to try and shore it up.
Yeah,
I don't know what actually happened, but yeah, another really good result for Chesterfield.
Well, then it's down to the team who've still got 11 men to move the ball a little bit quicker and ask questions and try and break that wall down, isn't it? And it's easier said than done sometimes. Like,
yeah, it is. Yeah,
yeah, good result for Chesterfield. Jonathan,
Can I touch on Barrow against Swindon?
It's all yours, buddy.
Really good goal by Jed Garner. At first, I didn't think he meant it, but watching it back, I think he meant that. I think he genuinely meant that. Brilliant goal. And then I missed it at first because I think Farman came out of his goal and miskicked it, and the Swindon player went to lob him, and I didn't actually see it touch his hand, but it obviously did, and he got sent off, which. For people who don't know, I think Dan had Farman in his goal for his fantasy as well. So
I did.
I don't think he realised until just before recording as well. So he got sent off, and I think Barrow had to put a young centre back in goal, and they defended for their lives. And Swindon were quite wasteful with some of their chances, and you thought Barrow were going to do it, and then 98th minute. A strike from about 20 yards, nestled in the bottom corner, and it was certainly an interesting game. And Barrow have surprised me positively, because I wasn't expecting this from what Gillingham fans had said about the manager previously. I wasn't expecting them to be this good, and there's already pressure on the Swindon manager. I don't know if you've seen his post-match press conference, but he's already saying that the fans haven't got a clue, which really isn't a good sign.
No.
If you're a manager, got to keep the fans on side, and maybe the writing's on the wall. And I do hope Swindon sort themselves out on and off the pitch, because to see them struggling in League Two, we all know their previous history. They've been much higher up, and they just seem to be a basket case of a club. Also, shout out to Matt Smith for that Tyson Fury type punch to get himself sent off as well. Quite a heck of a punch. And well done the ref for seeing it through that crowd.
Yeah. A couple of people have come in the comments saying that they had Farman in goal as well as me on the fantasy. Neil has had an absolute nightmare this week. Although he's got 60 odd points, I think I only got 38. He had Jody Jones, Crowley, and Farman. We've pretty much had the same team, but the other four picks you had must have been much better than mine. Lizzie's not happy as well. She had Farman. And Neil also had a Barrow defender as well, and then conceded a 98th minute goal. So yeah, not a very good week on the old fantasy football for me and Neil. There's only a couple of games left, isn't there? Newport, Port Vale. These are two teams that I cannot pin down. I can't work out what they're going to do from a week-to-week basis. I think we had Newport down as struggling in the division because of just being relatively unknown with the manager, and they've started really well, but then I think they've got this in them, haven't they, where they can just be on the receiving end of a hammering. And similar to Port Vale, I think they got beat 4-0 a couple of weeks back by Barrow. If my memory serves me right, then Donny beat them 3-2. So Port Vale can also concede goals, but have shown that they can score them. So I don't know if it's just like early season kind of settling in and form that's throwing up these really weird results, but I can't pin them down. But Jaden Stockley, his first start this season, scoring 2 goals.
Good signing.
Very good signing. Chislett a decent player as well. Tolaj, very good player. So Port Vale have got the squad to do bits in this division. There's just been a couple of games where it's looked like it wasn't quite working. I know Ian's just said that Newport had 9 men. Went down to 10 men on just before 60, then down to 9 on 67. But the damage was already done at that point. They were already 4-1 down before one of their men got sent off. So it was 11v11 when it got to 4-1. So yeah, just two teams that I can't quite work out, and it's going to be interesting to watch how they progress this season. Out of the two, I'd expect Port Vale to be higher up the division come the end of the season because of the quality within the squad. And I still don't know enough about Newport County to really say this is what they're going to do this season. But yeah, cracking scoreline for Port Vale after losing a couple on the bounce to get back to winning ways. Darren Moore will be happy with that. And yeah, 24 shots, 7 on target. That's a bit of a disappointment to not. It's very wasteful with the opportunities that they've had. But when you're putting 4 of those 7 in the back of the net, it don't really matter, does it?
No.
Ian, any? I think there's only a couple of games that we've not touched on.
Yeah, there's just 2 more, isn't there?
We may as well do both of them. Which one do you want? Do you want Cheltenham or do you want Colchester?
I'll have Bromley at Colchester. Michael Cheek again. I mean, he
scores a shit
ridiculous
load of goals.
He was ridiculous in the National League last season, and he started off in League 2 in the same vein, just more or less scoring every week.
Yeah.
Held the lead up until half time, and then Collier, who I think are going to be a different proposition this season. I think they're going to be a little bit stronger, equalised, and Bromley held on pretty well under a bit of pressure, and they had a guy sent off in the dying embers, really, 90+6. But a good point for Bromley, that.
Yeah, very good point for Bromley. John's asked what's going on at Swindon. Is the owner selling? Simple answer, I don't know. But I will look into it for next Sunday's show, because I think that'll take a little bit of diving into. So if anybody in the chat knows what's going on at Swindon, get it in the chat so that we can let John know. But if not, I will have a look throughout the week and let you know next Sunday. That leaves Cheltenham versus Harrogate. Cheltenham 1, Harrogate 0. It was a very late goal. Tom Bradbury, 90+2. Jonathan, take this one away, mate.
Well, I think Cheltenham, again, have had a solid start to the season. I think they beat Newport first game of the season. And I think, again, it's another team that's had a lot of change, a lot of transfers, new manager. Always a good ground to go to as well. Looks like they've been quite a tight game again against 2 similar sides. Just that Cheltenham put one of their chances away. Harrogate, I'm starting to worry about a bit. I wasn't worried like pre-season, but it just feels like they've lost some quality in the summer, and it doesn't feel like they've fully replaced it. I mean, it's too early in the season to say, but maybe maybe the home form will carry them over the line. Sorry about that, Dan, because I know you've got to go to them on Thursday. But I just
home form after this week, hopefully.
Maybe one of those. I don't know if you guys agree that maybe teams have figured Harrogate out now. It's their third season in the EFL, and I think teams have figured out how to play Harrogate. So that could be the case for that. I don't think they'll go down. I still think there's 2 or 3 teams that are in worse positions. But for me, I'm just a little bit concerned for Harrogate, if I'm totally honest.
I'd agree with you. John's answered his own question for us. He's helped us out. It says no, but rumours I've read that he may sell up. Fans are definitely not happy. I agree with that. From what I've seen on social media, Swindon fans are really not happy with how the club's being run out the performances, the results, everything about the club at the minute. They seem to be rather grumpy over there. So Ian's also said, is Simon Weaver's time coming to an end?
I don't think
it's
so.
one of those, isn't it? It's been there for so long, and is it a case that that other teams have just worked out, like Jonathan says, how they play, how they set up, and how to counteract them and get a result there? So yeah, it could be a long old season for Harrogate, but I agree with Jonathan. I think there is a couple of teams that are in a worse position this season, so I think Harrogate will still be a league club this time next year.
Yeah.
And we'll have a quick look at the table. So only 2 teams go down, and Morecambe and Accrington not looking in good shape at the minute. Carlisle, again, poor start to the season, but I think they'll turn it around. I think they'll climb the table. Swindon in a bit of a mess. Harrogate, Salford, yeah, it's anybody's game down there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lizzie said Simon Weaver's dad owns Harrogate, so he'll never leave. Jobs for the boys. Moving towards the top end of the table, we've got MK Dons, 2 wins out of your last 3.
Looking a bit better for MK now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pulled you guys up. Are you expecting to continue climbing, Jonathan?
Yeah, I definitely expect to climb sooner rather than later. As I said before, we've got 2 huge games coming up. One sort of, well, can't really call it a friendly rivalry because it's the opposite of a friendly rivalry against AFC Wimbledon. I won't be making it. It's the one away trip that I refuse to do for safety reasons. There's just
Understood.
too much love lost between us, and as much as I'd love to tick it off the 92, I still don't think that the precautions are in place from the police and from the safety stewards. I mean, I heard last year, Dan, that they had one booth open for about 900 fans, and every 20 yards they were searching our fans randomly going into the ground. And it was like, we're not going into Guantanamo Bay here, sort of thing.
I think if you wanted to tick it off on the 92, mate, it might be a case of going when MK aren't playing them. And it might be a little bit friendly.
Neutral.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be the best way. But yeah, I definitely think we're going to climb. I think, as I said, similar position to Rotherham. Got too good a squad to be in the position that we are at the minute. And like I said, top 3. That's all I want. I don't care if it's first, second, or third, as long as we're in the top 3 after 46 games, and we don't have to have 3 more games afterwards, because I don't think my head on my heart could take it again after last season.
Yeah, it's not a nice place to be, the playoffs, but it's a much nicer place to be than the bottom 2 in this division. So it's kind of swings and roundabouts. Which one would you rather? Playoffs, though. Your rivals in 7th, AFC Wimbledon, Walsall in 6th, Bradford in 5th, Gillingham in 4th, and then top 3 at the minute, Barrow, Notts County, and Doncaster sit at the top of the table. But yeah, there's still 41 games of football to play, so not getting carried away. But it's a fantastic start when you look at where we were this time last season. So yeah, we'll take it for sure. Sooner be there than where Morecambe or Accrington are at the minute.
Yeah.
Moving on to the Fantasy League, if we really need to. I had an absolute shocker this week. We mentioned it a few times. My keeper got -2. 2 of my players weren't even in match day squad, so I've dropped down to 19th. We've got L. Wilson in 22nd, Jay Ollyhead in 21st, and Jay Wood Hajdu in 20th. Max in 17th. My nephew is stayed in the same place. Jonathan, you've pulled yourself up to 15th. John has dropped to 16th. We've got Lolo in 13th. Band of Brothers in 12th. We've got pretty decent climber in Lewis SAFC up to 10th. Still not seen. Ian, you've done well. Liz is just
I'm up to fifth.
Up to 5th. There you are. CSKA Millers, Ian Bradley in 5th. We've got Liam Martin in 4th. But tell you what, Adam Gittins knows ball, doesn't he? 357 points.
Yeah, it's only 3 points in front now. Lee's got
hot on his tails is Lee around the grounds on 354. So some cracking points there. But yeah, keep updating your teams, put in players that I haven't picked, and you'll do all right. And that takes us to the end of episode 75 of the 72 review. John has put a question in. Did you talk about crazy money for Stansfield? Missed the first 10 minutes or so. I think we mentioned it last week, didn't we? We were talking about transfers and stuff, but yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? Birmingham got money to burn at the minute, and they're going to be offering players contracts and signing on fees and you name it. Yeah, it's. I'm not sure. I don't like it. I don't like that. There's clubs that can spend so much more than other clubs in a division. It just doesn't make it a fair playing field for me.
I mentioned before we went on air, Dan. I says that Birmingham City are the Chelsea of League One.
Yeah, that's it. Liz has also said that it's very tense in her house with Adam doing so well and Lizzie having a bad week on the EFL fantasy team. And Lee is a cheat code for EFL fantasy. He is for sure. But yeah, like we say, keep changing your team, keep it updated, and we'll keep looking at the table. And yeah, it's bragging rights whoever wins the division come the end of the season. So any final words, Ian, before we round this one off?
Another enjoyable Sunday therapy session. Just take care of yourselves and we'll see you next week.
We will indeed. Jonathan, any final words, mate, before I round off?
Just thank you for having me on again, Dan. Don't forget, everyone, Thursday is I think Thursday, 6 o'clock will be the cut-off point for EFL Fantasy. I could be wrong on the time in there because obviously the mighty Doncaster are playing on Thursday night on Sky. I feel a bit left out actually because we've got 2 Doncaster shirts on and there's me in just my white top. So yeah, thanks again for having me on and keep supporting these guys because they're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you very much. Neil said, superb show, lads. Terrific trio indeed. Thank you so much. Yeah, we hope everybody who's tuned in has enjoyed it as you always do. It is a bit of a therapy session and it's been a positive week. 2 wins and a draw. It's not often we get nobody losing in a week. Maybe it's because Chef Wednesday didn't play and it's an international break. I'll get that one in there while the lads aren't here to defend themselves. But no, I hope you all have a fantastic week. Take care of yourselves. Thank you for watching. If you're watching this throughout the week, stick a big thumbs up on it, get it shared so more people can join the community and enjoy talking about their clubs on a Sunday. Get your comments in the section down below. If you haven't already, subscribe to all the lads. Links are in the description down below. Subscribe to me if you haven't already. All that's left for me to say is thank you for watching. Have a great week and we'll see you in the next one.